how Saints could have spent $100 million they wasted on Derek Carr. Let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we?
Before we talk Saints, everyone knows how I feel. You know how I feel by now about Dennis Allen. You know how I feel about Derek Carr. You know how I feel about the state of the organization. There is zero ambiguity. No
spoiler. Matthew does not like Derek Carr. Bottom line, he does not like Derek Carr. That's an absolute fact. We know that. That's what he means by you know how I feel. He has made it very, very clear that he does not like Derek Carr, and there is no room for Derek Carr on his New Orleans Saints.
Nobody should be confused about my feelings about the New Orleans Saints. So I'm not going to sit here and just belabor the point of how I feel. You know how I feel. Dennis Allen is a lieutenant, not a general. Great defensive.
I'm not going to lie. It does seem like we are about to be belabored. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to anybody here because we're 44 seconds in to an 11-minute video. If we weren't going to be belabored, this video would be about 57 seconds long. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be belabored.
It's mine, terrible head coach. Derek Carr at his absolute best, borders on a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, but he's nowhere near his best. He is not even close to that, as a matter of fact. And I think the Saints are going to miss the playoffs for the fourth consecutive year. You know how I feel.
You know what's kind of crazy about that? So I could hear that, and I could say, yeah, that's probably about right. Like, that is probably about it. Like, I have Derek Carr. I did my quarterback rankings, 17th in the NFL. Okay? Dennis Allen, I've said before, probably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL, defensive mind in the NFL. Is he a great head coach? No, he has been a horrible head coach. So if we're starting at that foundation that Matt's laying out there, I'd agree with him. Now, where we start to differentiate here is that he's going to go into how it's an awful situation for us to have Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. And where I pivot to is that it's not that bad of a situation. It's a winnable situation. Is it the best situation? No. We just said he's a top 10, maybe sometimes middle tier quarterback most of the time, and Dennis Allen's a below average head coach. We just said that. Right? It's not a great situation. It's not Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, but it's still a winnable situation. It's a relevant situation. The team is relevant. So those streets are very, very different.
What I'm going to do throughout this offseason is continue to point out third-party and objective rankings, data, metric numbers that speak to this Saints team for 2024.
Okay.
And this is something that popped up last week. Pro Football Focus is going through their position rankings. So they're ranking the players by position in the NFL.
We did running back. We did a video. The Pro Football Focus has the Saints as a tier 2 running back room.
And I intended to get to this last week, and it slipped through the cracks. But I want to circle back to it now because PFF released their quarterback ranking. So they ranked all 32 starters ahead of the NFL season. Number one on the list is no surprise. It's Patrick Mahomes. We all know that. Mahomes is number one, and number two is Lamar Jackson. So you got a couple of MVPs right there.
I'm trying to think who we did a quarterback ranking, and someone had Carr at like 27. That might have been ESPN, and that was crazy low. So I haven't seen the PFF version yet, but I have seen, I think it was ESPN's quarterback ranking. Now, tier is important for quarterbacks. Tier is very important for quarterbacks. So where you see the ranking, make sure you pay attention what tier they're in. Because I have a feeling we're going to be talking more about the tiers than the individual players.
Mahomes is alone at 1, Lamar Jackson 2. There's Joe Burrow at number 3. So tons of respect for Burrow there, even
Burrow
despite his injury-plagued early.
I think I had Burrow at 2 on my quarterback ranking. I might have had Jackson at 2 and Burrow at 3. But it was very similar.
Early career. 4 is Josh Allen. 5, Justin Herbert with the Chargers. Dak, Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Hurts at 9, and rounding out the top 10 is C.J. Stroud after his magnificent rookie season. So that's your top 10. Clearly, Derek Carr, not in the top 10.
Yeah, not in that group.
I'm not going to...
but he's not that far off of, like, Dak Prescott. Like, Dak Prescott, at his absolute ceiling, is, like, what? Somewhere around the 7th or 8th best quarterback, somewhere in there. And that sounds high, But then when you think about like the tier of who he is, like what really is Dak Prescott? Like what really is he? He's a guy who can kind of give you some stats, give you some wins in the regular season. He hasn't had any playoff success, so we can't say he's going to lead you through the playoffs. He hasn't had a Super Bowl ring, or he hasn't had an appearance, so you can't say that. So putting Dak Prescott like that high and just lumping him into that group is insane to me. Like lumping Dak Prescott into the same group as Aaron Rodgers is absolutely insane. Is bananas. I guarantee you, if I asked 500 people who really watch the NFL, and I said, you got 2 minutes left in the Super Bowl, last minute, or 2 minutes left, drive to win. Who do you want, Dak Prescott or Aaron Rodgers? I guarantee you all 500 would pick Aaron Rodgers, unless one of the people I was asking was Dak Prescott, who then it would be 499.
Going to bury the lead. Number 20 is Baker Mayfield on this list.
Okay. What tier, though?
And then one spot after Baker Mayfield is where we find Derek Carr, who is one spot ahead of Russell Wilson. So
21's kind of low, but I need to see the tier that he's in here. But 21 isn't crazy.
21-22 is Mayfield, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson. Your starting quarterback is sandwiched between Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson, who Denver just ate, $70 million to get rid of him? You're one tick ahead of that guy, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, I'm going to be honest. Again, I say it all the time. Pro Football Focus is not the metric. It's a metric. It's something to be considered. It's not the be-all, end-all of all these metrics. Now, what was really interesting to me is who else was after Derek Carr.
I would like to see, I'm going to have to pull this up myself, but I really want to see the tier that he's in, because that's what you have to look at. The ranking doesn't matter. It's the tier that you're in that's what really matters. Bucks, what's up, man? Bucks popping up in the chat. What's happening, my man? How are you doing tonight?
Let's run through the list. Russell Wilson at 22. Deshaun Watson at 23.
Okay.
Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, the combination of Jacoby Brissett and Drake May.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels at 27, rookie. Will Levis at 28, second-year player. Daniel Jones at 29. Ugh. Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew for the Raiders at 30. 31 is J.J. McCarthy, Sam Darnold with the Vikings. And dead last, Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix with the Broncos. That enormous pile of average to suck is the only thing separating Derek Carr with the bottom of the league.
I mean, it was 11 players. Like, it's not like 5 people. He's ranked 21st. There's 11 players under that. Like, so far, I'm confused of what the point is.
Of the remaining 11 quarterbacks, 8 are either rookies or second-year players, and the other 3 are Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
That's what the metrics say about your starting quarterback. It's almost unfathomable to think that the New Orleans Saints have invested $150 million guaranteed into Derek Carr. So I got to thinking.
But it kind of shows you, so he's kind of making my point for me. You have to have a quarterback, okay? You have to. You cannot play the game without a quarterback. So the way you get a quarterback is two ways. Don't look at me like that, Matt. The way you get a quarterback is 2 different ways. Way 1, you draft one. Way 2, you sign one. Look at some of the people on that list around Derek Carr. Russell Wilson, or I guess sign/trade for one. Russell Wilson. Look at how much the Denver Broncos invested in Russell Wilson. They took on $40 million or whatever just to trade him. Okay. Baker Mayfield, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just signed him for $100 million over the course of 3 seasons. Daniel Jones, the Giants paid Daniel Jones. Deshaun Watson, how much did the Cleveland Browns invest in Deshaun Watson? So to act like Derek Carr is the only quarterback in that tier who has a huge contract is crazy. You don't have an option in the NFL. If you're going to sign a veteran, and if you don't believe me, go ask the Atlanta Falcons. because they were stuck $180 million guaranteed into a 36-year-old quarterback on one leg who's never won nothing. So you really don't have a choice. You could take all of those average to below average veteran quarterbacks, and you could say the same thing about all of them. You could say, yeah, they're probably getting overpaid. And it's true. They probably are getting overpaid. But it's the NFL, and it's the market value for a quarterback. And it is what it is. So, if you compare, hell, if you take that same list that he's got, and you compare Derek Carr's investment to Russell Wilson's investment, to Baker Mayfield's investment, to Kirk Cousins' investment, to Daniel Jones's investment, to Deshaun Watson's investment, the Derek Carr deal looks like a pretty good piece of business.
4 years, $150 million with $100 million guaranteed. How else could you blow $100 million? Yeah, $100 million burning a hole in your pocket. You could spend it on Derek Carr. Or, you know what you could do? Do what Steve Wynn did. Wynn Hotels. Went and bought a $100 million home in Aspen. Gorgeous property, by the way.
What the hell are we talking about? What are we talking about? I mean, this right here, nothing could have prepared me for that. I mean, nothing, ladies and gentlemen, could have prepared me for Derek Carr being compared to a piece of real estate in Colorado. I mean, did y'all see that coming? Did anyone else see that coming? Or was it just me that was absolutely befuddled?
Oh, that seems a lot better than Derek Carr. Put a car in the many garages at the home there in Aspen for Steve Wynn. Speaking of cars, Muse, would you drive a Lamborghini?
I would, yeah, 100%.
Lamborghinis cost $229K. You know what that means, Muse? It means you could buy 436 Lamborghinis. That's what you could do with $100 million. You know what you could do, Muse? You could get every member of the Saints team. Mrs. B could have bought every member of the Saints team 9 Lambos. Everybody, 1 to 53. Everybody gets 9 Lambos. That's what you could do
that would
with
help
$100 million.
Morale.
You into art?
Not really.
No, not really.
I can't believe this. I mean, this is really, we've done a lot of reaction. Aspen doesn't have an absolute cannon. Yeah, Aspen's not going to convert on third down. I mean, Aspen is not going to move you up and down the field, right? Aspen's not going to try and get you the NFC South. We've watched a lot of reaction videos over the last couple years. This has absolutely melted my brain. Absolutely shocked me to my core that we're comparing Derek Carr's $100 million contract to what was it? 900 Lamborghinis and a home in Aspen, Colorado.
Really into art? You ever heard of Picasso?
I've heard of him, though,
Yeah, Pablo Picasso has a painting called La Peine Agile. I think I said that right, maybe not. That thing's valued at $100 million from 1904. You could buy a Picasso from 1904 for $100 million, Muse. You could do that. Or you could set a match to $100 million and sign Derek Carr. How about this? You into sports memorabilia?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
What's your favorite piece of sports memorabilia?
You know what's crazy, guys? I say this all the time, but how insane would this conversation be? Like, how insane would these comparisons, even more insane would these comparisons be, if Derek Carr doesn't get hurt against Green Bay and the Saints win 10 games, win the NFC South, host a playoff game, and we're defending NFC South champions going into his second year? I mean, I don't know why I have to keep saying this, but the Saints didn't win 2 games last year. They didn't win 4 games. They didn't win 5 games. I mean, they were right there. They won 9 games with a horrible offensive coordinator, with a horrible offensive staff. Got rid of them. Upgraded the defensive line. Upgraded the offensive line. Brought in new coaches all over the shop. It just blows my mind that we are sitting here in June and we're talking about Derek Carr's contract and how it's a waste of $100 million. When the same list that was just pulled up had people like Deshaun Watson on it, Kirk Cousins on it, Daniel Jones on it, Russell Wilson on it, legitimate, horrible, some of the worst contracts. You might as well throw Brock Osweiler on there. Some of the worst contracts in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns invested so much, damn near gave Deshaun Watson, off-field issues aside, damn near gave Deshaun Watson equity in the team, basically, with how much they invested in him. And how much do you think they regret that? That Joe Flacco was better for them last year than their $250 million investment on top of draft picks, on top of all of that. Like the Denver Broncos. You don't think the Denver Broncos aren't regretting what they gave Russell Wilson? The trade to Seattle? Bucks is Seattle Seahawks? You don't think they regret that more than the Saints are going to regret giving Derek Carr $100 million over the course of whatever it amounts to, probably 3 seasons? If you look at it across the board, the Derek Carr contract is pretty chill. It is the least of the Saints' worry, is Derek Carr's contract. Least of their worry. I mean, this is nuts.
Like, of my own?
Yeah, let me know.
So, some signed baseballs that I have for sure.
Awesome, sounds great. The top 10 pieces of sports memorabilia of all time. 1952 Mickey Mantle card, $12.6 million. The 1998 Michael Jordan NBA Finals Bulls jersey, $10 million. A Diego Maradona Hand of God jersey, $9.3 million. That's an ad that just rolled through. The Olympic Games Manifesto, $8.8 million. A Messi World Cup match-worn shirt, $7.8 million. The Honus Wagner T206, $7.25. A 1914 Babe Ruth rookie, $7.2. Ali's Rumble in the Jungle Belt, $6.2. Kobe Bryant's 2007-2008 Lakers jersey, $5.8. And a Ruth jersey from 1928 at $5.6 million. The top 10 most valuable pieces of sports memorabilia ever, Muse. You could buy them all and still have $19.4 million left. That's what you could do. You know what else you could do?
What else
You into the WNBA there, Muse?
All right. I mean, we got to. I mean, I don't like fast forwarding. I don't like fast forwarding through. I cannot believe this keeps going. I keep thinking it's going to be like, okay, let's get back to the point. Let's get back to the conversation. But it's just more comparisons.
You could buy the team, Muse.
Yeah, probably.
Get E-Rock and maybe 1 or 2 friends out there. Equal that awful movie series. We could build that line. That would actually be handing out hundos as tips to everybody.
Going.
How about that? Here you go. That's not a stray.
Just keeps going.
The Mets are catching the. You could sign Derek Carr. I guess it could be worse. You could be Cleveland.
Cleveland's the anus of America. It's the booty.
Thank you, Channing Crowder. Hey, thanks so much.
Good Lord. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, it ain't good out there. I'll tell you that. It ain't good, ladies and gentlemen. It was a shocking 11 minutes right here. This was posted on the subreddit. I mean, yeah, like Carr is. I don't think there's anything. If you get a veteran quarterback in the NFL, and especially with a ceiling like Carr, who's the ceiling is that like top 10, like Matt said, who probably comfortably sits in that like 14, 15, 16 range. Like, what do you think you're going to pay him? What do you expect to have to pay your quarterback? How do you think you're going to sign how do you think you're going to sign a veteran quarterback for 4 years for less than $100 million? Derek Carr is better than Baker Mayfield. I'll tell you that right now. Derek Carr, last year, people assumed Derek Carr or believed Derek Carr had a bad year last year. And his last year would have been Baker Mayfield's probably best year of his career. So